Zealand. Hope you're having a super fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to Porchlight Letters podcast number 2302, Clarity in the Curves. So we've had a few curves going on lately, but this morning I got to have a refreshing start to the day. It was slightly raining, but it had been raining heavier earlier because the back patio had surface water sitting there. So me in my PJs and my robe and bare feet go outside. I know, funny picture. Go outside and start splashing in the puddles. That water was cold. We're talking ice cold. I don't know what the actual temperature was down outside at that time of the morning, but it was refreshing, and my feet hitting that ice cold water sent this wave of alertness and awareness all through my body. And I was like wide awake. I was already awake at that point. Now I was wide awake. So it was a very refreshing start to the day. That was after I had my accountability call, because I had an accountability call at 6:00 my time. And that was very enlightening. We talked about different things, and it got mentioned that maybe I should do life coaching with all the experiences I have had, all the different transitions I have gone through, all the challenges I have faced, maybe beneficial to somebody else. So I was like, never thought of doing that, but it is something to consider. So that went on to my list of things to think about. I have a think about list. And then I get this pad of paper and I start brainstorming on them. And when I brainstorm, it becomes a mind map, which I absolutely love doing mind maps. And then I had a very interesting conversation with a fellow creative spirit who I did not realize at the time was such a creative spirit until we got talking. And all sorts of different ideas started flying. And I was suggesting stuff for her, but at the same time, ideas were popping into my head on things that I could do. So I always have pen and paper handy, and so I'm busy writing down these notes and these ideas as things go. And after work today, had lunch with mum and dad, and then came into the office and pulled out my big pad of paper. It looks like this, just so you know. This is the back of it, not showing you the front. And started mind mapping ideas on that. And that's going pretty well and coming up with some great ideas that have led to different, because when I start mind mapping, I start with the core idea in the center, and then I start branching out from that, and you never know where it's going to go. It could curve over this way, it could curve that way, it could go here, it could go there. You never know until you start mind mapping. And always start with the central idea in the center, and then branch out from there into all sorts of different things. Usually I do this on craft paper. I have a craft paper roll that's about this, and I think it's like 30 or 50 feet long. I've got like two rolls coming over. One's partially used and the other one's brand new. And I would have my dining table in the front room, and I had a chair at one end and a chair at the other one, and basically I would roll the paper along and it would collect on the other chair at the other end. And I had these piles of I had a plastic cover on the table, so because these markers go through the paper and I didn't want to ruin the wood of the table. So I had a plastic tablecloth on there, and I would just roll this thing along, and I had the markers, and whenever I had an idea, I would just go start mind mapping it. Because to me, mind mapping helps me figure through things. And poor Brad, whenever I did mind mapping, he said he had to come up with 20 questions, I think it was, or 20 answers he had to come up with 20 answers to a question. And he said, and he was told it would take like 2 hours to do. I said, well, do you want to do it a faster way? He says, well, I don't want to cheat. I says, no, do you want to do it a faster way? He's like, okay. So I pulled out a piece of paper and we started mind mapping on it. He had never mind mapped before, but my husband's poor engineering logical brain could not comprehend a circle in the middle with all of these chutes coming off, because as we started writing things out and going down different chutes and then going back to the center question and starting off another chute, I would put something down here because it came off the idea before it, and he'd go, that doesn't go there. He's trying to organize the mind map. He wanted it to make logical sense. But in 20 minutes, we had his 20 answers to the one question. And he was sort of like, no, this isn't right. He says, that should be over there. And I says, no, you don't get it. It's just how the ideas flow. That's what you do. I said, this is what a mind map does. I said, you have your central idea in the middle and you start putting spokes off it. And yes, you can come and start a new spoke at any time. You're like, oh, that's a main idea that comes off that one. So then you want the little ones that come off that. And he still couldn't get it through his head. And I said, it's okay, sweetie. I understand that you are very logical and everything has to be in its place and everything has to be categorized and sorted. That's fine. Would you like me to read out the answers, and then you can put them in whichever columns you want to put them in? And so that's what we did. I helped him organize the mind map into something that he could comprehend. So I know mind mapping is not for everyone. Some people will put the thing at the top and just start making a list. I don't do lists like that. I will do lists for to do. But when it comes to ideas, central idea in the middle of the page, spokes coming off it, and have it curving in and around and everything else. So that was our thing for today. That was basically my day so far. I'm going to do some more work on this. I've been working on logic puzzles, which help get me into that mind mapping type of brainwave. I love logic puzzles. If this, then that, and maybe it could be that as well, but you never know until you get there and find out. You know, the ones that, if you don't know what a logic puzzle is, it's like this. Here's all the clues. Here's the grid to help you work it out. And you have to work out on this one, the number of the dressing room, who the star was, the TV series, and their role from this grid. See? I love these puzzles. But they're fun. They're great. And they help trigger, and a lot of times they help trigger creativity as well. When you're thinking on a logic puzzle, something that you've been churning in your brain might suddenly go, got it. And it's like, oh, got to go write that down. And I keep paper and pen next to me. It's all over the place. Oh, I've got to put that in there. Hang on. Okay. Sorry, just had to write something in my planner that I'd forgotten to write in earlier. So that's it's been a very creative day today, which I've absolutely loved. So I'm coming up with idea. Like I've got an idea for a plan for business. So I come up with a central idea for possible business ideas and things that I'm already doing. How can I improve them type of things as well. And the mind mapping helps me sort all of that out, which it will make, everything seems really good right now because I have just been speaking about it and I got excited about it and came up with different ideas and stuff. Now it's the mind mapping helps me rein it in, bring it in. And yes, these ideas over here are all really good, but there'll be one that stands out to say, hey, pick me, pick me, pick me. And that's the one that I will pick and run with. So who knows what's going to come out of this mind mapping thing? I'm going to head back to it now. But before I do that, I do have some reflection questions for you. What reoccurring themes have shown up in your conversations lately? Yeah. When was the last time you surprised yourself with clarity during a creative brainstorm? How might your own life experiences prepare you to guide others? That's always a good one. I actually have an organization that I work with where I take on mentors, and it's basically mentoring them through being a cancer caregiver. And even though their husband may not have colorectal cancer, may have some other form of cancer, there's still a lot of commonality. And that's what I found in the cancer caregivers group when I was in the cancer caregivers group, is that it doesn't matter what type of cancer your loved one has. There is a lot of stuff that's very similar across the board for any type of cancer. And in some cancers, you get some overlaps, and in other cancers, they're kind of out there a little bit. But there's always stuff that, as a cancer caregiver, you're dealing with somebody who has lost their normality in life and at times will rebel because they want to be back in control of their own life. Their life is spinning out of control. How do we help them through that time period? How do we acknowledge it? So there's stuff like that we can talk about. Dealing with doctors that will ignore you. I don't do doctors that ignore me. We had one oncologist that we met in LA one time. He walks in the room, walks up to Brad, shakes his hand, goes, hi, I'm Dr. blah, blah, blah. So I don't even remember his name. And I put my hand out to introduce myself to say I'm Helen Hum's wife. And he just turned around. He turned his back to me and walked back over to Brad's file and started going through it. And anytime I mentioned anything, he goes, no, and just carried on talking to Brad with whatever he was talking to Brad about. We got out of there. I said to Brad, we're getting a new oncologist. And Brad's like, yep. He said, I didn't like him at all. I said, he never spoke to me. He had nothing good to say to me. He wouldn't listen to what I had to say. And I was Brad's right-hand person in this whole thing. I may not be going through the cancer, but I was right there with him for all of his treatments, for all the Everything he did, I was there with him walking through it. I was the one that would take the notes in the doctor's office. I was the one that would set up all the appointments and everything. And to walk into an office where you are in a room with the doctor about getting your husband scanned to see if his cancer is still in remission, and he totally ignores you, it's time to get a new doctor. Yeah, he only lasted the one visit. So it was things like that, being the advocate for your loved one. And we talked, and I will talk to people about how to be an effective advocate with people. So there's lots of, and that's just one thing that I've gone through in my life, is that cancer journey with Brad. Then I'm going through his passing, through our dog passing 18 days before Brad did, and then, finding Zeffie and my life with Zeffie and tootling around the US in an RV for a little bit, and her eventual health issues and passing. I've been through a lot, transitioned from one country back to my original country. We're in the process, we're doing that right now. And it's just those experiences. And there's been lots of ups and downs and twisty twirly bits in the middle, and little bits here and little bits there. And, just life. Life is fun. It's full of adventures. Yes, you'll have ups and downs. Everybody has ups and downs in life. No life is ever perfect. No life is, we do this, we do that. And, no life is like, here's how life is supposed to go. No. Here's how life is supposed to. No, that doesn't exist. That straight line does not exist. Your life is going to be like this. And you might be on 2 or 3 tracks at once, and it's going like this all around you. It goes in any direction it wants to at any time, and boom, it can change on a dime like that. So that's it for me for today. Hang on, I think I have one more question for you. I do have one more question. So, what recurring themes show up in your conversations lately? When was the last time you surprised yourself with clarity during a creative brainstorm? How might your life experiences prepare you to guide others? And question 4, what idea feels worthy exploring further, and what's one small step that you can take today towards that? So with that, I am out of here. Go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening. We'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific. Hei konara.